Candace.
And I'm Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The show where I'm gonna zap you into a Frankenstein with my neck bolts.
Because that's how that works.
That's how that happens.
I was truly waiting for one of you to correct me and say, Frankenstein's monster.
Well, technically, Dr. Frankenstein is his father, and therefore...
No.
Technically,
he's not a doctor. And
Mr. Frankenstein.
And you may call his son Adam or the new Colossus. Thank you very much.
So we were watching the old Spider-Woman cartoon from the 70s, 80s, what the fuck
70s, I think. It's inexplicably they have that, but not the old Spider-Man
from
cartoon.
79 and 80, according to Wikipedia.
And there's an episode where she fights Dracula, Wolfman, and Frankenstein, and all three of them turn people into...
More of them,
but with lasers.
You know, the thing especially, Frankenstein's monster isn't known for turning people.
I mean, the first thing we saw was the Wolfman shooting eye lasers, and we were like, what the fuck is going on right now?
I mean, Dracula had a Dracula beam of some kind.
He did have a Dracula beam. It came out of his hand.
But we didn't... I don't think we gathered that his Dracula beam Draculaed people.
No. And then Frankenstein's monster showed up, and he shot electricity out of his neck bolts that turned people into Frankensteins. So...
That's just... And they were all working together for some reason.
That was just the episode.
The other ones didn't make a whole lot more sense, but I can't remember what the fuck happened. They were just nonsense. Except for the one with the fly, I kind of figured that one out.
There was also the one where they were at the Olympics.
Oh, the Olympics! Fuck, man, the Olympics, I have no idea.
Robotic replacements of athletes who somehow have mind control, that allow this one weird miniature French man who lives inside a robotic, larger, full-sized robotic version of himself, who had decided to take over the world. Never mind that all the athletes we saw were American. They somehow took over the world for this miniature Frenchman.
Yep. So basically, it's the best cartoon ever. And you should go watch it.
There are 16 episodes.
There are.
Spider-Man shows up in like 2 of them. The Kingpin shows up in one of them. He's for some reason a 1920s mob boss.
Also, she has a nephew.
Mm-hmm.
Right, a nephew that is always around playing cock block for her coworker who is constantly sexually harassing her.
Yes.
Yeah. Fucking Jeff.
Jeff clearly wants to fuck.
He wants some of that pussy. Some of that spider pussy.
Oh no.
The
spussy.
The spussy.
Does spiders have puss?
Can spiders
So also we need to address, you might hear some jingling in the background.
That is Chai Latte.
Yeah, Chai Latte has a new collar because in trying to get she and Frankie to get along, we have given her a jingly collar so Frankie can hear her coming.
She is a much better hunter than Frankie is, and the asymmetric warfare has not gone well.
Yeah. It's a problem.
Yeah, so she has a jingly bell, but the problem is she is very playful.
And she may just
very active.
Loves to run around.
And is jingling as we speak.
Yes.
And she may just get better at hunting.
So anyway, chaos in the background. If I don't manage to trim that out, which I can guarantee I will not manage to trim that out, that is co-host number 4 making her contribution.
Yeah, it's valuable.
It's very noisy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we could take her collar off, but then we'd have to put her collar back on.
Right. You know, the thing about that is I stood in the store for like 10 minutes testing the jingle on the collars to find the loudest one.
Oh, no. You didn't consider...
Because I didn't think Frankie would hear it.
Frankie would hear it? Come on.
I don't know. Look.
I
don't know what you want from me.
I know Frankie might be a little wobbly, but...
So anyway, Kitty Chaos.
Kitty Chaos.
Unstoppable Kitty Chaos.
Absolutely. So, can you guys tell me what happened last time with Thor?
A very
Infinity.
cool potential idea that really didn't go well.
Infinity! So Thor finally showed up back home after going and doing a whole bunch of bullshit when Odin was like, hey, this is important.
Mm-hmm.
So he went and did that, and he comes back, and everyone's like, oh no, it's the end of the world. You're too late. Because something is swallowing up the entire cosmos.
It's basically, what if Galactus was cooler?
Yeah, and there's also this dude who's just here now. He's the silent one.
The silent one, yeah.
And he's just here.
Don't attack him, Thor!
Only I may do that.
And I did do that, and it didn't work, so don't attack him.
Precisely. So, and then, Odin got beamed away somewhere into
The world
middle
beyond.
world. Yeah, and he's trying to fight back the fog because that is swallowing up the entire galaxy. Meanwhile, on Earth, there are natural disasters happening, and they're like, oh my god, it's the end of the world, so, like, it's not going much better here. So Thor runs off. No, Thor has to pretend he has to play king, and he doesn't want to, and he's not happy about it. And then Loki's like, I'm going to conquer Asgard with an army of trolls.
Something that can only
And
happen.
giants.
Something that can
And
only.
giants.
It is something that can only happen if Odin is gone.
Yes.
Truly.
Fortunately, Odin is gone.
So Thor beats them up and rescues Balder, who is tied
Who was captured.
who is captured.
Good job, Balder.
And then Thor goes back and throws a temper tantrum and then just leaves everyone in Asgard without a ruler
Mm-hmm.
to go and try and find Odin.
Yeah.
And he eventually does find Odin.
Well, kind of, but first there's the whole thing where he randomly just... Hela shows up and is like, haha, now I'm just going to kill it. No, wait, I missed a whole thing with a bunch of guardians.
Just one guardian,
Yeah.
actually.
It's the same Guardian multiple
Over
times.
and over and over
Yeah.
again.
And he beat it, and then he'd come back, and then he somehow convinced the whatever the fuck to let him go by, and it's like, oh, fine, you're cool. But then
That's not what happened.
somewhere...
Close enough.
And then somewhere in there also, he ended up turning back into Don. I don't remember why, but then the Guardian wanted to attack him
Because
some
he's
more.
a new person.
I'm not going to explain any of this. Continue.
But somewhere also in there, it turns out the silent one was actually working for
No.
Hela.
That's later. Right?
No, I mean, that's pretty much next.
Okay, I guess that is, yeah. So then Hela shows up and is like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna kill you now because I guess I'm not gonna get another chance to, so I'm gonna kill you now because I really want to.
Side plot. The Warriors 3 got
Right.
went miss. They went off. They were sent off to deal with this. They got mind controlled. They got rescued, but they didn't lose the mind control. And then they decided to. They got, I guess, new orders to open up the Odin sword
Yeah.
to trigger Ragnarok.
Right.
So then Hela just hits Thor with a beam of, you're really old now.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I don't think we ever explained how the fuck Thor just got his hammer back and it was fine.
Do you want an explanation?
Yeah.
So, because the Warriors 3 were there and being mind controlled, Thor used his hammer to shoot them back to Asgard.
Right.
But then the hammer didn't come back within 60 seconds, so he turned it to Don Blake.
Right.
And then the Guardian came back to attack him because he was
Right.
a different dude. And Odin used some power to distract the Guardian long enough for the hammer to get there, so he turned back into Thor.
Right. Okay.
So it was pointless.
Right.
So that was drama that anyone reading this would know isn't gonna turn
Right.
into anything.
Right.
So anyway, the silent one, who is the dude from the control room, showed up and just made Thor alive again and died, so it was fine.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then, Thor went and Odin got swallowed up by the fog.
And is now being controlled by what's-his-face.
Right, because the fog
Infinity.
mind controls you. The Infinity Fog mind controls you.
Yeah.
And then I think Thor, like, just about caught up, but not in time. Right?
Yeah, he'd got there just like a moment after Odin got mind controlled.
So
basically.
now, it's father versus son. Odin goes mad. The world is lost. Truly Marvel's greatest epic.
I'm sure we're gonna live up to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, did we get it?
Yeah, you nailed it. Perfect.
It sounds unhinged when we say it back.
Well, that's why we took to doing these recaps, because
the fact
it
that,
never sounds as good when we're trying to remember it.
but that's just it.
It wasn't good in the first place.
Yes, I was gonna say that. It wasn't actually it had a good premise. It did. It absolutely had a good premise. And
Stan fumbled it.
Stan, you fumbled it.
He always does.
It was a good idea. In fact, it was better than Galactus, which isn't that hard because Galactus is just a dude.
So, anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to read Thor number 187 from February of 1971. Written by Stan Lee, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Joe Sinnott, and lettered by Sam Rosen.
No new names here.
Thor shrinks back in horror as his father advances.
My own father, Odin, hath turned against me, and so the world is lost. Oh, come on, Thor. How many times has your dad just been a dick to you?
Anyway,
Yeah, but Odin being mind controlled is probably a very bad thing just for everyone.
yeah.
Probably.
As he considers how this may have happened, he proceeds to recap the story for about a page and a half.
Uh-oh, that's a bad sign.
Once again in the present, the God of Thunder tries to reason with his sire by reminding him of their familial bond. But shockingly, that doesn't work since he's being mind-controlled.
Shocked.
And even if he weren't, Odin's stance on hitting his kids is shaky at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thor leaps out of the way just as the glassy-eyed Allfather shoots a bolt of crackling force at him.
That does not... I guess.
It's fine. He quickly decides that he has to face the facts and accept that Odin is simply not home right now, but he's still not completely on board with fighting him. After all, why battle the symptoms when you can go straight to the cause? Yet that, in and of itself, isn't so simple. What chance does he stand if even the Allfather was overtaken by Infinity?
He's Thor. He's better than his dad.
As he squats behind a rock and ponders this circuitously, he fails to notice someone has snuck up behind him until terrifying zombie Odin grabs his shoulder.
Yeah.
Rash youth.
Thor once again tries to plead with him, but Odin continues to have none of it and zaps him point blank. He tries to make a getaway, but the blasts come one right after the other, allowing him barely any time to think, much less escape. Racked with pain and doubt, he uses Mjolnir to bore a hole in the ground so that he can escape. Did you ever notice how often things with Thor come to making holes in the ground?
Okay, that was not how I was perceiving that. And see, what I thought was he dodged something that blasted a hole and then caught him, but no, that's not what happened.
No.
You can clearly see he's hopping into the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought he was catching himself, but you're right.
He's got a motion line. Why?
Because Thor always ends with digging a hole.
That should be a space.
It should be. He drops down into the newly hollowed earth, but is granted only a moment to catch his breath before Odin breaks through after him,
Oh no.
demanding that he swear obedience to Infinity or die. Thor says thee nay,
Ah.
and Odin shoots out a gout of flame in response, pushing him against a wall.
I don't have Thor says the nay.
I have it.
Fortunately, however, fire is pretty easy to deal with when you can make it rain anytime, anywhere. The Thunder God whirls his hammer, summoning a deluge that swiftly quenches the inferno and allows him to escape in the downpour.
Yeah, Thor's real popular in the club.
Mhm.
You show up to the dance floor, just get fucking soaked, the equipment shorting out.
Well, he made it rain. Wasn't that what he was supposed to do?
The situation is looking grim. As the Allfather calls out, demanding his son's demise, Thor has to fight against the urge to sink into despair, even while he struggles to come up with anything he can even do about this. This is about as bad as it gets. Just kidding, things could always be worse. The ground cracks underfoot, sending father and son tumbling apart as Infinity's restlessness tears at the fabric of the world beyond. It moves with increasing speed and urgency, consuming more planets into its inky mass.
That looks so cool, though.
It does. I love every time I see this.
Like this is something that actually looks cool now, today. And I don't think Stan had much of a hand in it.
Kirby Crackle is underrated, even if it's not actually
like Kirby.
Right, but it's the name for the
I know what
practice.
I know.
I don't actually. I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, you see the sparkles of stuff, the splashes of color, the little dots. Kirby Crackle.
Huh.
Meanwhile, in New York City, people are only now attempting to evacuate.
And they're doing a bad job of it. Whoever is in charge of these evacuation protocols did a shit job, because what you're supposed to do is one-way traffic both sides. Instead, everyone is piled into this one fucking line. The whole city's on fire behind them. And they're going out in one fucking lane of traffic in the fucking traffic jam of a lifetime. This is all fucking horseshit, and you did a bad job. You did a bad job. You're gonna kill people.
Indeed, the streets are completely flooded, buildings are on fire.
No, the street.
And the traffic is bumper to bumper.
But left an entire lane of the highway open.
So basically it's a normal day in the Big Apple. Apparently it's the same everywhere, though, or at least in all the major cities.
I guess it's on fire. We could be in the Bronx.
No reports yet on the suburban and rural areas, but I suppose these people have to be evacuating to somewhere, right? Presumably?
I mean, you'd think that, but that's not necessarily true.
I mean, there's probably, being out of the city, there are less things to be on fire.
Right.
Oh, there's...
No, I mean, there's plenty, but, like...
I guess there's less buildings to be on fire.
There's less things, like, if you're in the middle of a field and it catches on fire, that's a bad situation, but nothing's blowing up.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, not everyone is lucky enough to already be on the highway out of here. The streets are filled with people wading through the waters, desperately searching for a ride out of this hellscape. A police officer on horseback urges everyone to get inside and be with their loved ones while they still can. The skies are no refuge either, as anyone who can get onto a plane is doing so, and flying willy-nilly with no direction or goal in mind.
No! This is no!
Frantic people trying to find somewhere safe to land, but there isn't anywhere, and the panicked pilots keep smashing into each other because they're flying with no ground control.
This whole fucking horse cop and the bus driver are out here. The horse cop is being valid for once.
Right.
Meanwhile, we can't get the fucking FAA, the fucking traffic control to take a...
Nope.
It's raining fucking plane parts over Manhattan. That's probably why the whole fucking island is on fire, despite also being flooded. We have several 9/11s going on up here.
And the Fantastic Four have probably not picked up their phone.
All over the world, people are struggling to come to terms with the truth. The astronomers in the observatory that we saw before. Generals in their war rooms. The president in his Oval Office.
They
the
don't
president
show
who is
which
off
president
screen.
They don't
this
show
time.
him.
Boo. Hey, you know...
We mustn't fly off the handle with elections coming up. Wow.
Okay, wait, what year is it? It's the 70s, so it's
71.
Nixon. It's Nixon. As much as I'm having fun and laughing, this is actually the kind of shit I love in comics.
Well, when the president is like, no, it's fine, we have elections coming.
No, I mean, just seeing how people react. That's one of my favorite things in comics, is seeing, like, what it's like to be someone in this world.
Oh, those are Russian soldiers. Dirty capitalist imperialist trick.
Mm-hmm.
The Western warmongers will stop at nothing.
It's a great trick, also destroying America.
Yes, that's the trick.
That's the trick.
Well, I mean, capitalism.
Whether they want to accept it or not, it seems like the end is really here. If you'll recall, last time we saw Asgard, it was experiencing some earthquakes.
Sif has changed clothing again.
Well, that's going to continue. Well, it does seem to be a little bit more serious than the text suggested, as we see Balder racing on horseback through broken streets and toppled pillars. He comes to a halt before Sif, who is in a new outfit, and looking somewhat out of place. The bare midriff in the middle of the apocalypse is a choice.
Maybe it's hot.
She has called him here to help with the effort. Oh no, I skipped the page too fast. I was waiting to reveal it.
Oh.
She has called him here to help with the effort to push the Odin sword back in its sheath. Apparently, the situation has grown more dire, and they have enlisted a whole ton of shirtless guys and also a giant vice.
Oh my god! This is so dumb! And the shirtless guys are actually putting pressure on the vice!
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Oh my god!
The whole scaffolding involved.
He has scaffolding.
Despite this valiant effort, the sword doesn't budge an inch. Only Odin can resheath it, and unless he returns soon, the universe as we know it is doomed.
Okay, but like, they just have to stop it from going out further, really.
So, good thing they got the giant vice.
Right, exactly. They just hold it in place. So long as the vice keeps working.
Baldur goes back outside to his horse, announcing to Sif that he's going to see Karnilla. She says she will accompany him, and they both take off for the forest.
So that fucking boner's back.
So does all of this qualify as, oh no, Ragnarok is coming?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. But I don't have it.
They need all hands on deck, and with the Warriors 3 out of action, Baldur the Brave intends to ask for the Norn Queen's aid. Sif questions how certain he is that he can sway her, but before he can answer, well, he's pretty certain.
Yeah.
Before he can answer, they are suddenly surrounded by trolls, one of whom grabs Sif's cape and tries to take her as a prize.
Come on, get captured,
God.
get captured, get captured.
We're looting at the end of the apocalypse, even on Asgard.
Baldur surges forward to protect her and ends up fighting all the trolls by himself while Sif acts scared because she's a woman.
Oh, I
Sif
got
is
that one too.
Yeah, Sif is emotional because she's a woman.
Yep. Midway through the brawl, however, a dragon charges out from the trees, scattering the trolls like mice. The dragon circles above them and then lands, before disappearing into a mist, revealing that the beast was only an illusion to cloak Karnilla herself.
Oh my god, I love Karnilla.
Okay.
She is absolutely that bitch.
She is so over the top, so extra.
Yes. She is the dramatic evil queen that we all love to see. She demands to know what they want, and Baldur begins to explain the situation. He believes that the Norn Queen can release the Warriors 3 from their mind control, and she thinks that doing that might bring the two of them closer together. She agrees to help, sending the Asgardians back to the city ahead of her. The two mount their horses and gallop away, with Sif noting that she doesn't hear anyone following them. However, Karnilla has once more taken the shape of a dragon, and soars high overhead.
I mean, like, if you could turn into a dragon, why would
Exactly.
you travel any other way?
Exactly.
So
I mean,
extra.
other than teleporting, which
Right.
would also be admittedly pretty baller.
Once back in the Golden City, she attends to the enthralled warriors, holding aloft a flame to dispel the fog from their minds. Despite her magical prowess, the spell can't penetrate the hold that Infinity has over the warriors. As she explains this, Loki calls to her from around a corner. I guess after Thor took out their army, they just slipped back into the palace and are now chilling while everyone else freaks out about Ragnarok.
I mean, at this point, Loki could be declared king and no one would care.
Right.
But he hasn't been.
Sif tries to
Yet.
reason with him. In times of strife, everyone must work together, or all will face the consequences. Loki says some shit that you would expect from a Twitter bro who earnestly self-identifies as an alpha male. And Sif is like, look, bitch. The Odin Sword is coming out, and if it does, you're going down with us. Without question. So if you don't want that to happen, you better wise the fuck up.
Yeah, you live here, bro.
Why should I care if the universe dies? Because you're part of the universe, idiot.
I live in the universe!
Right, unless you're the one actively trying to end the universe, you probably should do something about it.
Well, Loki acquiesces and calls for a guy to haul over some kind of device that somehow combines their magic with Karnilla's.
See, that's stupid. I wish there wasn't a device. They should just be able
There's
to do that.
always a stupid fucking unnecessary device, giving her the power to undo the mind control. Baldur rejoices at the return of his friends at last, but wastes no time asking after Thor and Odin. Alas, the three have no memory after arriving in the world beyond, so they have no information to give. With his mustache sagging, Fandral wonders if their king and their prince have somehow perished, which sends Sif sobbing into Baldur's arms.
Sif is
I wish I
emotional
had that
because
one
she's a
twice.
woman again.
Then the god of light proposes this. They lure Infinity to Asgard somehow, so that when the Odin sword is drawn, it will also be destroyed in the coming Ragnarok.
I mean, would it not be anyway?
I don't know. A bold plan, but when there's no way to avoid Armageddon, you might as well take the bad guy out with you.
Sure.
At that moment, through a hole in the wall, Volstagg and Hogun take note of a comet speeding toward them. It flies straight for the palace, revealing that it is not a hunk of space rock, but actually Thor.
And haha, Volstagg is a coward.
Haha. She sure is. Sif rushes into his embrace as Baldur wastes no time asking after Odin. But the Thunder God is still all riled up and spits his ill tidings through gritted teeth. Odin is under the sway of Infinity, and Thor has no idea how to fight it, nor has he even laid eyes on the thing. Thor retreats behind a closed door with the Vizier, ordering his friends to guard the door. To see Infinity is to fall under his control, but he hypothesizes that his human form may be beneath the notice of such a being, and therefore able to at least get a glimpse.
I'm gonna call
Why?
Thor turns into Dawn for no reason?
Yeah, a theory that I don't see any evidence for, considering we already covered that Infinity was enslaving entire worlds full of presumably mortal people.
Also,
Right.
it seems like
Humans just suck that much?
that's unexpected.
Honestly, I think it is, like, almost mandated at this point. He has to turn into Dawn once.
You know what? I think you're right. Like, he has to turn into Dawn for reasons. It's like part of the series Bible or something.
Once again, in the guise of a mortal physician, Donald Blake asks the Vizier to unfold the facts. He turns to a nearby magic TV and, with a gesture, conjures a vision of the past. The last time that Loki took over, when they trapped Odin in a pill capsule in the dimension of death.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the door, Loki is getting antsy. They have a major case of FOMO, wondering what Thor could be up to. They lunge for the door, but are quickly restrained, just before the door opens to admit a stricken Thunder God. Everyone gathers around him in concern as he tells them that he has seen Infinity and now knows why they can't possibly win.
Ah.
And that's the end of the issue.
Okay.
What would you guys rate that issue?
Confusing.
Yeah, that's
I guess for that, I generally go for a 2 if I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have done a bad job telling the story.
There wasn't much of a story in this one, to be fair.
Considering there were, 2 pages worth of,
I mean, I did
review?
like seeing a whole bunch of people do a whole bunch of stuff. It was nice to see
We got a good
characters
variety
I
of
like
characters.
doing things. And Karnilla showed up, and she was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, 2.5 for Karnilla. As a dragon.
She's a hot, evil queen who turns into a dragon. What's there not to love?
Okay, 3. Baldur, you lucky bastard.
Doesn't know what he's
got, honestly. So, what do you guys think this is rated on CMRO? I'm only asking because you'll never guess.
5.
2.12? It's gonna be the other way.
3.41.
No, fuck you. Fuck you. Samuro has bad opinions.
They do. Okay. Next we have Thor number 188.
The most eagerly awaited issue in magazine history.
I doubt that.
From March of 1971. Written by Stan Lee, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Jim Mooney, and lettered by Sam Rosen.
I like they're fighting over Loki's helmet. That's weird. That's a lot.
Who wants that brass ring?
We pick up this issue with everyone gathered around the flat screen, upon which flashes the image of Odin, currently under the control of Infinity.
Fuck, he's shooting beams.
He is shooting beams. Volstagg urges Thor to hurry and tell them all what he has learned of the cosmic being known as Infinity, while Loki says that there's no point, because without Odin they have no chance of winning anyway. The Odinson, still stricken by the knowledge he has gained and finding he knows not how to explain, excuses himself to brood. He looks down on the streets below the palace, seeing how the grim specter of impending doom has affected his people. In the Odin Sword Chamber, a crowd still works tirelessly to push the blade back into its scabbard. while Balder attempts to rouse the armies for one final battle.
I think he's being a Disney prince here.
No, I
No?
don't think.
Arguably.
I think it needs a little more, like, talking to fucking animals.
But no,
or something
that's not
really
a
over the...
Disney princes don't talk to animals. It's the princesses who do.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess. Then I get that spot, too.
Sure.
But, I have a really dumb question.
Uh-huh.
So, Thor on Earth, we know Thor, if he doesn't have the hammer for 60 seconds, he'll turn into Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor on Asgard doesn't do that. What happens other places, like, regularly? What is the established standard for if Thor is somewhere else and doesn't have his hammer for 60 seconds? Like, if he's on Ego and doesn't have his hammer for 60 seconds?
Anywhere that's not Asgard or Asgard adjacent, so any of the other realms, excluding Earth, obviously, any of those places, he turns back into Dawn after 60
That's
seconds.
what I thought.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was just sitting there thinking about him turning into Dawn that issue, and I was like, wait, does that even happen?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Well, at least we've been consistent, which is not something we can say about his powers.
Karnilla weaves her magic, useless though it will be, and Loki searches fruitlessly for a means of escape.
Speaking in the third person.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
as
look,
they
has been
tend to do.
speaking in the third person a
They do
lot
that a
this
lot.
issue.
You should put that on bingo. Just then, an army of trolls and giants makes one last attempt on the Golden City, breaking through the gates only to be met by the Warriors 3. And Volstagg is fighting.
Yes.
Yay!
Thor wonders what is the point of fighting, while Infinity claims more worlds every moment, and none in Asgard have the power to stop it. Even the Earth that he loves will not be spared this fate.
Walgreen, just the one.
Just the one.
The one Walgreen.
Sif calls his attention back to the present, reminding him that he promised to tell them what he learned. And so he finally does, explaining that while the Allfather slept within his capsule, deep inside the dimension of death, Hela enacted a plan. See, she came up again.
Okay, so that was semi-relevant.
Yeah, semi. She was the one who drained Baldur's life force to prevent him from rescuing his king, allowing her the time to use her powers on Odin. Having not the ability to claim his soul, she attempted to kill his body for some reason.
Okay.
What?
But he has some kind of innate resistance to her. So instead, their powers combined and somehow cleft him in twain.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Hela claimed the portion of his soul that had left his body, calling it Infinity, and vowing to use it to end the struggle between life and death once and for all.
Okay.
She then allowed Balder to rescue the rest of Odin and placed Infinity on the edge of the universe where he began devouring planets, and the rest we know.
Does this qualify as Odin in the sky with diamonds?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think definitely. Can we also say the power came from Odin?
Yes, absolutely. I bet you guys weren't expecting that to be the origin of Infinity.
No.
I can promise you I wasn't expecting any of that.
Okay, but like, if this is about the powers of life and death fighting, why are the worlds that Infinity is seizing not just being killed and destroyed?
Good question.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's not what Stan was planning to do at the beginning, and he's making it up as he goes.
Dang it,
Maybe.
Stan.
Possibly. I mean, we can't confirm or deny, but...
Stan, you've been... So, what? Did someone tell you to tell longer stories, but you don't know how to tell longer stories?
I mean, I like that things are tying into other things, I just don't understand why it's happening.
Right. So that's why Odin can't win this fight, because he's fighting himself.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does,
It
kind
makes
of.
some sense for once.
Balder asks if Thor has really given up, an implication that the Thunder God does not take kindly to. He is a warrior and a god, and will not go gentle into that good night. If Hela is the cause of this, he just has to take the fight to her.
That went really well last time.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
why
about
he says
that.
I don't know why he says that, because that's not what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He tells everyone to stand back while he spins his hammer really hard, creating a whirlwind which knocks back all the invaders and also shows an image of Odin at the world beyond for some reason, where Infinity is trying to merge with him to overshadow his will and possess him.
Huh.
I guess.
He hadn't already done that?
No, I don't know.
Really making it up as he goes along. Oh, sad.
I'm really not sure how this works, since Infinity is just a part of him, and I feel like if they combined, that would just make him normal again.
Wait,
Right?
so are you saying Odin is a bad guy?
I think the vibe that I was getting was that the part that Hela took out of him was, like, the bad parts, I guess.
Yeah.
So, how much evil is in Odin?
Enough to kill the universe, apparently.
That's a lot! That's a lot of evil!
I mean, he does some pretty fucked up shit.
He does. Apparently, Thor's storm is so forceful it even blows on Earth,
Ooh.
destroying buildings and mountains, which is exactly what we needed on top of all the other disasters already happening.
Woof. Man, New York is having a bad fucking
Having
day.
a bad time.
Goodbye, New York!
The plane apocalypse, the fire, the flood,
And
now
now
the
the
buildings
buildings.
are blowing away.
Karnilla commands her magic, attempting to release Odin from his trance, but we already know she wasn't powerful enough to free the Warriors 3, so she definitely can't do this.
Yeah.
Loki tells her as much, but also says that he doesn't want to die, and so the two combine their power again. But they don't use a weird random machine this time.
What the fuck?
Wow.
Instead, Loki removes their helm, and they each grab onto one of the horns, using it as a focal point for the spell.
Okay, that's stupid, but it's better than what happened last time.
Yeah, I always hate Loki without the helmet on, though.
Yeah.
It does look bad.
On the cover, they had a green helm. I wish
Why
that
does-
it was green again.
Hey, Loki, why do you have hair on your helmet?
Because
It's...
Like it's
I-
hair on your head,
just
but
has a
not?
widow's peak.
It's a success, but only just. All they do is push Infinity back, delaying the inevitable. Loki despairs over this. If the two greatest sorcerers of all time can do nothing, then all is truly lost. Karnilla tells them to stop whining, and says that the worst part about dying is that she has to do it with this idiot.
Okay, it makes sense now why the Odin sword would be pulling out.
Yeah, because it's all
does
related
actually-
to Odin.
because-
Yeah.
Odin is the one ending the world and the galaxy and the universe. Okay, that makes sense. It's dumb.
Sif has changed clothes again.
I told you I would
God damn
continue.
it.
The Vizier sits in the throne room, pondering his ill fate that he should live to see this day. All hope seems truly lost, at least until he hears the voice of Thor, filled once more with determination. He calls for his allies, and so comes the Warriors 3, Sif and Balder, Heimdall, and even the Norn Queen.
Heimdall.
Yeah, Heimdall is here because I guess the Bifrost has been destroyed by the
Oh.
earthquake.
We just didn't even note that?
No, we didn't mention it before.
Amazing.
So Heimdall's here. They all gather around to hear the prince's words, determined to fight in whatever way they can. Thor has them all gather around him while Karnilla weaves a spell, spreading a circle of fire at their feet. The Odinson whirls his hammer, combining the magic of the Norns with his own power and that of his comrades. And as one, they all streak out toward the world beyond, flying straight for where Odin stands, now nearly lost to infinity.
Okay.
There's an explosion, blowing apart the two pieces of the Allfather. Thor and his friends stand in Asgard, drained. I guess they didn't actually fly there, but just projected their powers like a missile.
What?
Sure.
They're all standing there now, waiting to see if their last-ditch effort will pay off. While in the world beyond, Odin is once again in control and absorbs infinity back into himself.
Fuck this.
He then returns to Asgard in a fiery ball, touching down to the joy and relief of all present. He reclaims his imperial scepter and waves it thrice, undoing all the damage that Infinity's rampage had done.
I am so fucking mad right now.
Everywhere,
So fucking mad right now.
every world eaten is restored. The disasters on Earth are made right, and he even goes to the trouble of erasing everybody's
Oh,
memories.
fuck you. Do you have Deus Ex Odin? Because that would be a great...
I do not.
Ugh, I don't either.
I've
I'm
had
so fucking mad. I'm so fucking
Do you
mad.
have Stangry?
I do. I crossed it off already.
And you also have Stanger.
Ugh.
Last but
I'm
not-
so fucking mad. No, this story went from being really, really cool to kind of lame to really, really cool again. And I was
For
like,
a second.
I was here on page 16, like, okay, this is awesome.
It was getting...
They're all gonna go there and they're gonna fight and they're gonna manage to pull this off now that they know what's going on. But it's not what happened.
For
They
a
just beamed
second.
their stupid fucking powers there, and now Odin is fine, and now everything is fine, and now volleyball is going on, and children are sledding down the hill, and everything is fucking fine. There's not even any consequences. Planepocalypse didn't even fucking happen.
For a second, it all looked like it was going to connect and matter and be important, but no!
Right. It was all timed back. It was timed back to shit that happened issues ago, and I was like, holy shit, all this shit fucking matters. It all matters. It's all coming back around, motherfucker.
And then they used their magic.
No, now it matters even less. That stupid fucking shit matters even less because you made it matter and then you unmade it matter. Now it is unmattered twice.
Stan, go away!
Fuck you, Stan. Fuck you.
You did what you were doing before, but you did it bigger. You did it bigger. You managed to do the thing you've been doing this whole time. But you managed to do it so much bigger than you were before. Do you know how impressive that is? That you've only scaled your stories upwards? You haven't improved the complexity of them. You've just scaled the nature of them with the same kinds of endings you were telling on single issue stories. That's impressive. It's terrible, but impressive.
The legacy of this issue summed up in 2 panels. How fares the mystic Odin sword? 'Tis virtually unsheathed, but with a touch I prod it back. Ragnarok shall not fall this day. Fucking end.
Yeah, so last but not least, he pushes the Odin sword back into its sheath, averting Ragnarok for another day.
Fuck this shit.
But we have another page.
Yeah, I know.
So with all that done, the Allfather sits on his throne to address his son. Though the universe has been saved from her scheme, he knows that Hela will not be so easily denied. She will exact her vengeance by claiming the life of the mighty Thor.
What?
This is so fucking stupid. Hela's sudden just lost for Thor's soul. It's like almost out of nowhere. She showed up once before.
I do
and
have
it was
a
like
tangent
normal.
about that.
Okay.
Is there's something...
I find it interesting here to see how Hela moves from a menacing but mostly neutral figure to a full-on villain. Before this, she was just showing up when someone else almost killed Thor, but was
the Grim
always
Reaper.
Easily rebuffed.
Right, she's the Grim Reaper. She's just here to take, she's not here to cause.
As we've stated before, her victory is inevitable, so it doesn't matter if she takes him today or 1,000 years from today. But now Stan has kind of introduced this concept of urgency into her character, for lack of a better word.
Is that because Stan knows he's not long for this series?
I don't think it's a good choice, frankly.
She wants everyone and everything to die now and become part of her domain. Why does she want this? I don't know. It really never gets explained or explored.
Fuck! So...
I'd like that so much less than death just as this inevitable, unstoppable thing.
I've read future Thor stuff. She goes back to the...
She does, yes.
I am inevitable. I can wait.
But Stan just really, I don't know, needed her to be a villain, so gave her like a half-assed motivation that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, I guess divorced from the prior canon, death as the villain that takes all the all-consuming death is a really cool concept, but it doesn't fit
with her character previously.
Right. Mm-hmm. Ooh, what was that little number?
King Cole, whoever that is.
Yeah.
New from the creator of Conan.
He's got quite a look. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So what did you guys want to rate that?
One. I'm so mad. I'm so fucking
That's
mad.
That's a hard one. That's
okay.
So... What did
CMRO do?
Yes.
Oh, what do you think?
If they rated it over a fucking 3, I swear to God. They did. Those motherfuckers.
What did they rate it?
3.35.
Oh, fuck you. It's only slightly less than the last issue, which was sincerely much more endearing. I like Hela's London trench coat look, though. That's new.
So, let's go ahead and go to the next issue. From April of 1971, written by Stan Lee, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Joe Sinnott, and lettered by Sam Rose.
If only it was called Ragnarok and Roll, I'd have bingo.
How many more fucking issues do we have left before Stan's gone?
After this one, 3.
Okay. One more issue.
One more issue this episode.
One more episode.
So that's how it is. Having lost Odin, Hela will surely now punish him by taking that which he loves most other than himself. Everyone is understandably distraught by this. They have no power strong enough to save their prince.
Odin can't fucking do it?
Thor himself seems to accept this, if grudgingly. If the doom is his, then he will face it with honor. Yet, Odin isn't willing to give up just yet. Odad gives a dramatic speech about life and light, or something or other, then comes up with an idea. If Hela wants Thor, then he just needs to be someone else.
What?
Oh.
Thor rejects the idea of leaving his home forever, but Odin assures him that it will be temporary. Under the guise of Donald Blake, he will elude the Death Goddess only as long as it takes to come up with a real solution.
Good God.
Oh no, I'm stuck as Dawn.
If that happens...
Thor attempts to protest the idea of running and hiding, but there will be no debate, and Odin shoots him off to Earth. Meanwhile, Hela broods in her kingdom of mist. Once Thor is hers, the Allfather's spirit will be broken, and she will be able to do as she pleases, with none to oppose her. Or so she says.
Fuck you.
What does she want?
We already know there's entire other pantheons of fucking gods.
As she lounges in her palace, she ponders the nature of mortality. Why do the living fear her touch, when she so often releases them from pain and anguish? Her gift is gentle and fair, bestowed to all men equally and without bias.
Yeah, but you're kind of imposing it.
Yeah.
They're not done!
She is shaken from her reverie as she realizes someone has entered her lands unannounced. The mists part to reveal Loki, come to assist Hela in claiming Thor's life. I don't know if I've brought it up before, but in Norse mythology, Hela is Loki's daughter. Marvel kind of goes back and forth on that, depending on the writer, and it gets messy in places.
No!
But by the modern age, it's been mostly ironed out that she is canonically his daughter.
Okay.
This comic in particular doesn't actually bring it up, but I think we can all assume by the way they interact that Stan was not considering this a familial relation of any kind.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of make a blanket statement on that. Hela is Loki's daughter, whether the comic we are reading acknowledges that or not.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing.
Yeah, this is just one of the fun and quirky things about Thor comics, where we can never decide who is and isn't related for some reason. Even though we have texts on that, you're adapting existing stories, so you should know.
Nah.
Anyway, Loki tells her that Thor has fled to Earth. She questions why Loki would betray him, which seems like a silly question. But for once, Loki is actually being sly and manipulative, so I'm willing to let it slide for now.
I like when Loki is...
Yeah, sly.
Yeah.
Actually clever, instead of a fucking moron.
It's rare.
At that very moment, Baldur approaches Karnilla to plead for help in saving the Thunder God's life. She refuses at first. Even though she helped avert Ragnarok, she is no friend of Asgard or the Odinson. However, she stipulates that should Baldur renounce his king and country, she would do as he wished.
See, I think he should have just beaten her to the punch. It's like, okay, so I'll take you out to Applebees, and we'll see how it goes.
Applebees.
Just help me out here.
Okay, couldn't think of something a little more romantic.
Well, I mean, he doesn't like her that much.
I don't know, he was fighting that boner for a while.
Yeah, that's true. But he's conflicted, right? So Applebee's.
Applebee's, when you have a conflicted boner.
Baldur the Brave draws his blade in response. Though he won't hurt the Norn Queen herself, having come to terms with the feelings he has for her, he will start a brawl with her troll guards.
Oh no,
Because
don't do that.
The fight goes on for a few minutes before Karnilla orders a stop to it, once more reiterating her offer more forcefully this time.
So she's relatively okay with her troll guards getting got.
Yeah, she doesn't care about
obviously.
them. All he must do to save his friend is renounce his allegiance to Odin. If he does not, Thor will surely die.
You know, I think I really need to put Baldur's boner on the bingo card.
His heart filled with grief, this time Baldur accepts. He will serve Asgard no longer, but live and die for the Norn Queen.
Oh my god, the things she says.
Adding it to the list.
Yep.
She upholds her end of the bargain, informing him that Loki is betraying Thor to Hela, even as we speak.
Okay, but thou shalt not regret thy choice, my love. I shall bring thee bliss, such as thou hast never known.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
She's into him.
Yeah, it's just talking directly to his boner.
She uses a chalice to scoop up a bubbling brew from her cauldron, commanding Baldur to drink, that he may learn how to avert disaster. He downs it without question, then flings the cup across the room as it twists and burns through his stomach.
That's a cool concept.
Then he is pulled away to the domain of death, which is called Helheim, by the way, to stop Loki's treacherous tongue.
Okay.
Baldur the Brave appears in a flash, just in the nick of time, his blade pointed at the trickster's throat. But how? Loki asks. Odin had no idea they were here. Baldur proclaims that he no longer serves Odin, and Loki is like, oh really? So it's not a problem if I kill you with magic? They grab the blade of his sword and send a shock of mystic energy surging straight into the Asgardian, causing him to crumple instantly.
I think that's brother fighting rules, though. Oh, really?
Oh, really? So Dad's not gonna care?
Although, wait. Are we currently considering Baldur?
No.
That's what
they
I thought.
don't do it until the fucking aughts, dude.
I do, though.
But we all know that Baldur...
Yes. Baldur is the littlest sibling.
I don't know about the littlest.
Is he the middlest sibling?
Well, they have a lot of siblings, so...
Okay.
I don't know, but that's the vibe I've always gotten, that he's the middlest.
I think he's the middlest when considering Thor and Loki.
Yes.
Loki's definitely the youngest.
Fair.
And Baldur's the middlest between the three of them.
That would be such a weird podcast.
Yet he's not called Baldur the Brave for nothing, and he fights for the life of his friend / brother. He will not be brought down so easily. The god of evil conjures a blade of their own, and the two clash, but Baldur's sword can't stand up to the one made of magical force and instantly shatters. As Loki moves in for the killing blow, Hela declares that she's done with this bullshit in her house and sends them away with a dismissive wave.
Also, I thought nothing could kill Baldur. Doesn't that usually
Stan forgets that constantly.
Also,
Fair.
I feel like it's almost different if you're in hell.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Okay, maybe even magic can kill the unkillable if you're in the dominion of death.
Okay, if this was mythologically accurate, the fact that Baldur is in Helheim right now, even though he's technically not dead, should start Ragnarok. So.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
That's neat, actually.
Meanwhile, Ragnarok is back on!
But it's not mythologically accurate. Stan has no idea what he's talking about. They appear in the middle of Asgard, with watching eyes on every side. Loki flees, while Baldur trudges his way to the throne room to talk to Odin. The Allfather already knows what has happened, but addresses Baldur as good and loyal all the same, because he gave up everything to save Thor. The warrior collapses, and like a dad whose kid fell asleep in the car, Odin heals his wounds and carries him to bed. Which is, probably the sweetest thing I've ever seen Odin do.
Yeah.
And he only did it because at the moment he doesn't consider Baldur his son.
Right.
Look, if Baldur
You
was
can't be a disappointment to me because you are not my son.
If Baldur was his son, he would leave Baldur to die.
No, but his kids also
builds character.
His kids also get to go by special rules frequently.
Mm-hmm.
The Allfather goes to where the Warriors 3 await his bidding. He has a task for one of them. Not Hogun or Fandral, but Volstagg. He bids the Lion of Asgard go to Earth and warn his son of the danger, and remind him that he must remain in the guise of Dr. Donald Blake.
Warn him of the danger? He already knows of the danger.
Well, warn him that the danger is imminent, I guess.
Wasn't it already?
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought the danger was pretty imminent.
I don't know. After yeeting him away on this mission, Odin goes to watch the situation on his iPad.
Oh my god, I think Odin did a favoritism. of his not son.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think?
Considering how he treated Baldur better than he treated his sons.
He treated Baldur better than he would treat anyone who does this shit.
That's true. Alright, fine.
It doesn't get me any closer to anything, so...
you guys have been marking off a lot of spaces, but not getting any bingos.
Yeah.
But this is a very tropey episode of Thor.
I could win in like 3 different ways, though.
If one of these had been Ragnarok and Roll, I'd have already won.
The Vizier questions if Volstagg will find Blake in time, but Odin assures him that he has a plan to detain Hela and allow the message to be delivered. Speaking of Hela, she's tired of waiting and has decided now is the time to go to Earth. She appears in an alley in a puff of smoke, looking like a rich lady who doesn't hug her children. A couple of thugs spot her appearance and decide to mug her, though one of them notes how ridiculously huge she is. His buddy isn't deterred and marches right up with his gun drawn to demand that she fork over the dough.
Oh.
Hela is not intimidated and does not care about these bozos. The one who doesn't have a gun is pretty wigged out by her, but his buddy doesn't notice or doesn't care, instead deciding to take a shot straight at her chest. The bullet seemingly disappears, while Hela hits them with her skull eyes until they unalive.
That's really fucking cool, though.
Okay.
I liked that a lot.
It is a cool sequence, to be honest.
It is. It's mostly sold visually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like her hat.
I do. I was actually gonna know I like that she changed into this hat.
Right.
Because it's so much less
Conspicuous.
conspicuous.
And the giant cape, also.
The cape, the hat. What are you,
You know
doing?
what she
Coming off a
reminds me
steam
of,
engine
though?
in 1900?
And this whole ridiculous get up. She reminds me of fucking Nat when she first started showing up.
Actually, yeah.
I was gonna say, looks like a fucking Romanoff.
Yeah, she looks like classic Widow.
I was talking the old school Imperial Romanovs
Okay, let me see it.
fleeing the old country.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
As she continues down the street, she notes how even stray dogs seem to tremble at her presence. She continues to be perplexed by this reaction, but then suddenly senses her quarry in a distant location. She moves instantly to a stadium, where Thor uses his cape to wrestle a charging bull, wrapping it up
Okay.
and then lifting it with one hand.
Does this qualify as outdated racism? Does Thor bullfighting qualify as outdated racism?
I don't know, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I'm so...
Because
I love this issue. I'm back to loving this issue.
I don't know what to make of this. What the fuck?
Well, they do that in Spain, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of gross.
Well,
and
yeah.
complicated.
So?
Unless you're talking about racism against the bull.
I don't know, but there's something really weird about Thor doing bullfighting.
I'm not saying it.
It's
But,
not that
I
weird.
mean, it is ridiculous that he's bullfighting now.
Yes.
The Death Goddess wonders for a second what the fuck he's doing here, but decides that it doesn't really matter before extending her hand towards the figure, which fades away, revealing itself to be a simple illusion.
Ah.
What?
Okay.
Again, she senses him, this time in the place where a remote hamlet is almost crushed by an avalanche from the surrounding mountains, narrowly avoided by the power of the Thunder God. But this one is also an illusion, it seems.
So was it all an illusion, or was just the Stevie?
Don't know. Unclear. So this is Odin's trick to buy time for Volstagg to complete his mission. It's working pretty well, seemingly, but how is that mission going exactly?
Is Volstagg being fat over there?
Yes, well, apparently the Lion of Asgard has decided to make use of public transit, but got stopped by the turnstile because A, he doesn't have a token, and B, he doesn't fit through it anyway.
Ha ha.
Because he's fat.
Hold it, fat stuff. No one
No,
gets in here without a token. The best insult you could come up with
It's
was
fat
fat
stuff.
stuff.
A couple of cops try to settle him down, but ultimately decide that it's just not worth the effort and let him go. I have a couple questions.
That they just don't let fat people on the subway.
I have a couple questions. Well, he doesn't have a token.
Ah.
How does Volstagg know about the subway? How does he know where he's even going? How did he know enough to go into a subway terminal and figure out which train he needed to take, but didn't know he would need a token?
Maybe he asked someone. He's very friendly.
That's true. That's fair. While on the train, he tries to offer his seat to a lady who doesn't quite know what to make of his weird speech patterns. I couldn't think of a way to note this, but it is also a plus-size lady.
She's cute.
She is cute. Sometime later, at City General Hospital, which is where Don is right now, instead of at his private practice.
For some reason, he can just get a job anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes away, comes
everywhere.
back all the time.
A nurse rushes into the lab, where Dr. Donald Blake is conducting some kind of experiment. Haltingly, she explains that someone named Volstagg is here to see the good doctor, also adding that he said he would have been here sooner, except he was detained at the psych ward.
Oh my god.
Wow!
At least he made it there somehow. You'd think maybe Odin could have just zapped him onto the street outside the hospital instead of making him catch a train across town, especially when time is of the essence.
No, we know that
that
Odin
entirely checks.
Odin doesn't really like the Warriors 3 that much.
Don is not surprised at all to hear that Loki betrayed him, by the way.
I'm shocked.
I'm putting "Oh no, I'm stuck" as Don.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, that's...
I think that's fair.
that very much... He's very much stuck as Don in a...
Not that it gets me any closer, I'm just 2 away from a bingo in a 4th column.
Elsewhere, Hela has returned to the city and is walking the streets. Floating the streets, I guess. She's walking on air above the cars, kind of defeating the purpose of wearing earth clothes if you're gonna do shit like that. She knows that Thor is in the city, but her senses are somewhat muddled. Thor is here, but also not, and she doesn't really know what to make of that. After about 2 seconds of consideration, Hela decides that if she can't find the Thunder God, she will just have to draw him out. As she passes by the scene of a building fire, she extends her hand toward a rescuer, instantly draining the vitality from him, as well as the rest of the firefighters.
Oh gee, why don't people like me? I just don't understand.
Right,
I'm so kind and gentle.
Great characterization.
We're about to
Thanks,
die
Stan.
of old age!
Across town, Don hears a news bulletin about these strange circumstances. With the firemen in such a condition, there will be no one to save the people trapped in the building. So knowing that if he turns into Thor, he will die, you might think, this is the perfect time to call up the Avengers. There must be someone who can deal with this, so that he doesn't literally die. And even if he can't get a hold of anyone, at least he would try, right? No, he instantly turns into Thor and flies away. I honestly think he just can't fucking help himself.
I agree, I think that's entirely the problem.
Yeah.
He pulls the ladder off of the fire truck and uses it to rescue a bunch of people at the windows, but it's not enough. There are still dozens more trapped inside, and the building is starting to collapse. He puts his back to the wall and heaves it into place long enough to summon a storm to quench the flame. Which, a lot of people have this misconception, rain doesn't necessarily put out fire.
No.
All the time.
It depends on the source of the fire.
Yeah.
Well, if this is a oil fire,
That'll make it worse.
Yeah.
Then, from the obscuring storm, steps Hela. The god of thunder makes ready to fight for his life, but Hela commands him to lay down his hammer. If he fights back, she will take the lives of the men that she sapped. If he surrenders, they will be returned to normal, and none will die save he himself. It's not really much of a choice. The Odinson can't bear to cause the death of innocent mortals, even at the expense of his own life.
I mean, he can't win anyway.
Exactly.
She can just take other people continuously.
she could keep doing this.
True to her word, Hela returns the fireman's vitality to them, and moves in to claim her prize. And that is the end of our 3rd issue. What'd you guys think of that one?
Inconsistent.
Yeah.
Considering the last storyline, which basically existed to set this up, it's weird that this has lower stakes.
These fucking dueling versions of Hela that we get within one comic are really annoying. I'm so kind and gentle. That's the impartial death, the looming death that is coming, and that's why everyone's fearing it. But that's
and not the Hela floating in midair,
that's the
killing
human
people.
struggle, and that goes well with her whole changing into human form. I think. Because she's not ominous. She's just death walking among them as death always does. But then we have the Hela that's walking above the streets, as you said, killing random people until Thor shows up, just to be dramatic. Why doesn't anyone like me? These two concepts can't exist in the same fucking comic.
It really feels like Stan is, like, trying to give her character some depth, but completely failing.
He doesn't know how.
Again, the same problem I'm having lately with all these Stan issues is he'll introduce some really cool shit, but it won't work.
And he just undercuts himself immediately.
It's like he can't keep track of it. Which, you know what?
Which tracks because that's the reason characters are named the way they are.
He literally can't keep track of character details he introduces in the same comic.
He can't keep track of character names.
God.
That's...
He called Peter Palmer once at one point. I know I told you that.
That's so bad! He forgot Peter Parker's own name.
That's why everyone's named in alliteration.
It's so bad.
So ratings?
Ugh.
This didn't make me as angry as the last one.
Yeah. That's the only thing it has going for it.
It does, but it also has such lower stakes.
I'm so thoroughly annoyed right now. There's stuff I like, and there's stuff I hate, and they're dueling with one another. I want to say 3, but I'm so fucking annoyed with the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that we're about to come to the end of whatever Stan's got up his sleeves.
Let me call this my unhappiest 3 ever.
I'm gonna give it a 2. It doesn't deserve a 3. A 3 is for better material than this.
I'm just gonna tell you what Ciomaro rated it. 3.54.
They're so generous. Which means
they're so generous with everything except stuff that's good.
Yeah.
They grant... That means there are people who gave this a 4 or even a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we can pull up a list and see
could.
every criminal.
And name them. Shame them.
Write their names.
Publicly.
Yeah. That was an episode of Stinkers. But the good thing is, we only have 3 issues of Stan left.
One episode.
Episode 93 will be our last Stan episode.
You say that, but we have no idea what comes after Stan.
And I won't tell you.
And it could be worse.
Well, consider Jerry was the one who wrote that Homestuck-ass comic.
Which one?
The second person one.
Oh. I forgot about that.
Oh, no.
But he was also the one who wrote The Night Gwen Stacy died.
Right.
He can write some stuff and then he cannot write some stuff.
So
I don't
what you're
know.
saying is you know the author.
He's hit or miss.
You wait and see.
Well,
wait and see, buddy.
Important fact.
He is also at the beginning of his career right now, so like giving a little shit on him now is not necessarily speaking ill of him in the future.
Okay. So just thinking about it, that means that, well, since Stan has been miss pretty consistently,
they're really annoying misses.
Yeah, he's got a good concept. He does. He's got great concepts. But he can't stick the story. It sounds like the guy who comes next might actually be able to end a storyline.
Do something. Fuck me. Fuck this shit.
If I was reading these on my own, I would probably not be as annoyed at Stan.
I'm so fucking annoyed.
I want you to know you have given me an experience that has made me so much angry at Stan Lee than I ever would have been on my own.
When you're reading these on your own time, it takes you like 10 minutes to get through the issue, right? And you're just like, alright, that was bad, but it was like a fun little...
You're not dwelling.
Silly little comic, and then you go to the next one.
And like, at best case, you just... Like I only got to that, wait, does Dawn turn back into Thor?
Right.
You realize that we're not even sure about...
It's been 2 fucking weeks.
Right.
What a fucking mess.
And this was the last one, this is the last series he was on, as a regular writer.
I believe, yeah.
That's wild. He really liked Thor.
Man,
he wasn't good
fuck
at it.
This shit.
He wasn't good at it, but he really liked Thor. I feel like we almost need to give some kind of retrospective to the mess that is Thor.
I think we're definitely gonna have to take a little retrospective at the end of next episode.
Yeah.
Because this has been a disaster piece.
It is also the end of our first season.
I wasn't gonna bring it up until next time, but yeah.
Ooh,
Ripley and I decided, we talked about this and decided that the best way to designate our seasons is by creator eras, but we can't do that with the X-Men because the X-Men
will be We will be stuck for like 5 fucking years or some shit.
Yeah, on
if
Chris
not
Claremont.
more. Yeah.
And, like, we considered going by, like, publication era, so, like, Silver Age, Bronze Age, but
that also
that
has
doesn't
the
work
same
either
problem.
because we're out of sync.
And that's going to reverse... The problem is going
Right.
to reverse itself eventually.
I think I'm already catching up to you, honestly.
You are getting there, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't gonna happen until like New Mutants, but you're already pulling up on me because
Yeah.
I'm doing all these skips.
Uh-huh. So, we decided that season 1 is going to end when we're done with Stan on Thor.
Gotta figure out season 2.
Yeah, we gotta figure out how long season 2 goes for, but...
So in that sense, I guess it does mean that we should do some kind of weird retrospective for
Mhm.
I
the
think
weird
absolutely.
era of Stan, in which he's completely arbitrary. I mean,
We've now gone through Stan entirely with both the
Mhm.
X-Men and Thor.
Not quite yet. We got 3 more issues.
No,
But
please
he's-
God, let it be over now.
3 more
He's been
issues
so
and then he's gone
arbitrary.
forever.
he's been arbitrary and sexist and racist and all kinds of terrible things.
It's usually in a not seemingly ill-intentioned
You're
fashion, but
not-
it's still not good.
You're not wrong. It's one of those he was a product of his time kind of things, but
But it hasn't aged well.
And he should have. He had every opportunity to know better.
But he was also very progressive for his time, too.
It was.
So anyway, that's whenever we get to the Stan retrospective. Let's not do it now.
No. We've been going for a long time, so let's wrap this up.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, it'll be shorter than that because I gotta edit it. But yeah, that's gonna be it for. I'm so fucking.
Yeah, I understand.
Annoyed right now. Okay, let us know your thoughts on the continuous.
Let us know what you think about the Infinity Saga, not to be confused with the MCU one.
Yeah.
Or the other Infinity Saga that involves Thanos that's in the Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
There's many, many. of
There are
those.
several.
I know. The other. There are many.
Anyway, let us know your thoughts of that. Hit us up, comicsplaining@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on our social media. We're on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Nobody won bingo this week, but...
And it was a brutal...
Despite, yeah, I have so many fucking... we have so many boxes checked off, and no one won bingo.
These
but
were
if you
some
wa-
Thor-ass Thor comics.
They were.
Ragnarok and Roll, Fandral is extra. I could have won.
If you want your own bingo cards for next time around, join our Discord and let me know, and I'll give you a link, because we get 30 of these little bitches every week.
All Fandral had to do is be extra.
They're there.
Rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice. If you want to see that
Vice.
fucking
The
Vice,
Vice.
oh my god, if you want to see that fucking Vice and all the other stuff that was happening visually on the comic, hit us up over on our YouTube where we show clips of the stuff we're talking about.
And no joke, the art on this is way better than the writing.
Definitely. So like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell button, tell your friends, tell your enemies, yada 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 yada. We'll be back at you next week with X-Men, and we look forward to talking to you then. Bye!
Bye.